Thank you for joining me here. I am RPS Nisansala from Group 29. I am here today to talk to you about compilers. Okay, so I am going to introduce our group members. They are KMAN Kumara, ALG Maduranga, RPS Nisansala, RMR Kumari, TK Paranamana. Okay, so let me now move on to the second slide. Our presentation is content about language translators, what is a compiler, why were compilers introduced, operation of a compiler, similar approach comparisons, advantages and disadvantages of compiler, and improvement of compilers. Next, let's move on to the third slide. What is a language translator? A language translator is a programming language processor that converts a computer program from one language to another. Computer can't understand our language. They can only process binary language. Therefore, translators were introduced. Some translators are assembler, compiler and interpreter. First assembler was introduced and assembly language was hard in coding. Therefore, compilers and interpreters were invented. Let's see what is a compiler. Compiler is a special program that translates a high-level programming language or source code into an executable program. Typically, the source code is written in human-readable high-level language such as Java or C++. The first compiler was invented by Alick in 1952 for the Mark I computer. Let's talk about why were compilers introduced. The most common reason is transforming source code to create an executable program. Before executing the program, high-level language must be translated to object code. Computers can't understand English language or any other human-readable language, only understand binary language. Compilers translate human-readable language into binary language. As a language translator, compiler was invented. Now we can see operations of compilers. First, gather all files needed for the source code to compile. Then, check syntax errors of source code. Perform a syntax analysis of source code. Then, understand the structure and semantics of the source code. Translate the source code into an intermediate bytecode. Then, translate the bytecode into an executable code. Let's move towards Gayashan Maduranga to continue our task.
Okay, now let's turn to next topic is similar approaches comparison. Compilers is a program that converts the entire source code of a programming language into executable machine code. Interpreters takes a source program and run it line by line, translation each line as it comes to it. Compilers' overall execution time is faster, but interpreters' overall execution time is slower. Compilers, the error localization is difficult, but interpreters, the error localization is easier than compilers. Compilers more efficient but difficult to debug. Interpreters less efficient but easier to debug. Compilers requires a lot of memory for generating object code, but interpreters requires less memory. Compilers generate intermediate object code, but interpreters no intermediate object code. Compilers translate complete program at once. Interpreters, it takes one statement at a time. Compilers' examples are C, C++, and Java. Interpreters' examples are Python, Perl, JavaScript. Okay. Okay, let's focus on advantages and disadvantages of compilers. Advantages of compilers. Self-contained and efficient hardware optimization. Compiler runs faster than interpreter, and for security purpose, compiler is more useful. Disadvantages of compilers are: compiler occupies extra memory, debugging difficulty. It is not user-friendly like interpreter. Next topic is improvements of compilers. Targeting to more operating systems: 2004 Linux, 2005 for Windows, 2011 for Mac OS X 10.7, 2016 FreeBSD. Loop optimization, exception handling implementation, improved parallelizer and vectorizer for multi-cores, more comparability with runtime libraries, improved integration to various IDE, more language support, and more support for debugging. Finally, we would like to take this opportunity to thank our lecturer Dr. Dinuni Fernando and our instructors of CS 1101 course who helped us in all possible ways to clear our doubts and questions regarding the presentation. We would also like to thank the group members for taking their time to find information related to the topic. We also extend a warm thank you all.